how to build a product or service from scratch. Every single day, thousands of products and services launch into the world. New apps, new brands, new businesses, and the overwhelming majority finished within a year. Not because the founders weren't smart, not because they didn't work hard, but because they built the wrong thing, in the wrong way, for the wrong people. Here's the truth nobody teaches you. Building a product is not about having a great idea. It's about executing a process. And that process is learnable, structured. And by the end of this video, you'll understand it better than most people who've already launched businesses. We're bringing it here for free. Every slide in this video adds something real to your thinking. Stay with us. Let's build something. Product versus service. Know what you're actually building. Before anything else, let's establish something fundamental that a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs blur, and it costs them clarity and money. What's the difference between a product and a service? A product is created once and sold repeatedly. It works without you in the room, a physical item, a digital tool, a course. You build it once. It keeps delivering. A service is delivered through your ongoing effort and skill. Consulting, design, coaching. At its core, it's you doing something for someone. The most powerful modern businesses sit at the intersection of both. They start as services, low capital, fast to launch, direct feedback. Then they productize. They package what works into something scalable. Think of it this way. A service is cooking a custom meal for one person every time. A product is creating a recipe and letting thousands cook it themselves. One scales with your time. The other scales with demand. For a first-time entrepreneur with limited capital, start with a service, evolve toward a product. It's one of the smartest paths available to you. Ask yourself right now. The foundation, solve a real problem or go home. The number one reason startups fail, and we're putting it here up front. They built something nobody actually needed. Not because the idea was stupid, but because they fell in love with their solution before understanding the problem. So let's talk about problem identification, the real foundation of anything worth building. A valid problem has three characteristics. Painful, not mildly inconvenient, genuinely frustrating. Something people lose money, time, or sleep over. The stronger the pain, the more motivated someone is to pay for relief. Widespread. A problem that affects 5 people isn't a business. You need pain that hits a definable, reachable segment. Underserved. Either nobody's solved it or existing solutions are overpriced, overcomplicated, or inaccessible. That gap? That's where you live. Here's a practical technique. Problem mining. Go where your target audience vents. Online forums, comment sections, community groups. Don't look for what people praise. Look for what they complain about. That language is the market telling you exactly what to build. The entrepreneurs who win aren't always the most creative. They're the most observant. Your product is just the answer to a question the market is already asking. Find the question first. Your customer. You cannot sell to everyone. The most damaging mistake new entrepreneurs make when building a product, our product is for everyone. The moment you say that, you've already lost. When you speak to everyone, you resonate with no one. Your marketing goes generic. Your product tries to do everything and excels at nothing. The most successful products are built for one specific person, not a demographic stat, not a vague category. A real human with real habits, frustrations, and goals. This is called your ideal customer profile, your ICP. Here's how you build one in 4 steps. Demographics: age, location, income level, occupation. The basics. Your starting point. Psychographics: what do they value? What are their aspirations? What keeps them up at night? This is where real insight lives. Behavior: where do they spend time online? What do they already buy? What decisions do they make daily? Pain connection: How does the problem you identified show up specifically in their life? What have they tried before? Why didn't it work? When you build your ICP with this depth, everything gets clearer. Your messaging sharpens. Your product decisions become obvious. Your early sales come easier. Here's the counterintuitive truth. The narrower you define your first customer, the faster you grow. Start specific. Expand from there. Market research. Intelligence work that separates winners from wasters. You know your problem. You know your customer. Now comes the step most impatient entrepreneurs skip and pay for later. Market research. Building without research is driving at night with no headlights. You might be headed the right way, but you have no idea what's coming. 3 layers, fast and focused. Layer 1, market size. 3 numbers matter. TAM, everyone who could possibly need your product. SAM, the portion you can realistically reach. SOM, the slice you can actually capture now. You don't need a massive market on day 1. You need a real one. People who exist, have money, and have the problem. Layer 2, competitive landscape. Who else is solving this? Map every competitor, direct and indirect. Then do something most people don't. Study their negative reviews. Where are their customers frustrated? That frustration is your entry point. Layer 3, trend analysis. Is the market growing or shrinking? A business built on a fading trend is built on sand. A business riding a rising wave has momentum working for free. One final principle. Don't just read about people. Talk to them. 20 real conversations with your target audience will teach you more than 100 hours of desk research. Research isn't about confirming what you believe. It's about discovering what you don't know yet. The MVP. Stop perfecting. Start proving. One of the most important concepts in startup thinking, and one of the most misunderstood. The minimum viable product. The MVP. Most people think it means a cheaper, uglier version of your final product. Wrong. And that misunderstanding wastes months of people's lives. Here's the real definition. An MVP is the simplest version of your product that lets you test your most critical assumption with real users as fast as possible. The goal isn't to build something cheap. The goal is to learn something true. Every product is built on assumptions. I assume this problem is real, that I assume people will pay to solve it, that I assume my solution is the right approach. Your MVP exists to validate or destroy those assumptions before you invest everything. Ask yourself, what is the single belief I'm holding that, if wrong, makes this whole thing worthless? Test that first. Before anything else, MVPs can look like a landing page measuring signups before the product exists, that a manual process that feels automated to the user, a simple prototype with one core feature. 0.5 paying customers served by hand before you build to scale. The best products weren't built perfectly from day 1. They were shaped by testing, iteration, and brutal honesty from real users. Launch ugly. Learn fast. Build smart. The build. How products actually get made. You've done the research. You know your customer. You've defined your MVP. Now you actually build. And this is where a lot of people freeze, because suddenly the idea has to become a real thing. Here's the process, step by step. Define the core function. What must your product absolutely do to deliver value? Not what'd be nice. Not what you'd love to add. Just the one essential function. Build that first. Everything else is version 2. Map the user journey. How does someone discover your product, try it for the first time, and return to it? Walk every touch point. Every moment of friction is where you lose people. Every moment of delight is where you earn loyalty. Build in iterations, short, focus cycles. Build a piece, test it, gather feedback, improve. Never try to build the perfect version in one go. Progress over perfection every time. Involve users early. Don't build in isolation, and reveal your work when it feels ready. By then, you've made 100 decisions nobody asked for. Bring real users in early. Let them see rough versions. Their confusion is your roadmap. Document everything, every decision, every reason, every change. This becomes the institutional knowledge of your business. It makes your product smarter and your team faster. Building isn't a moment. It's a discipline. Pricing strategy. The number that changes everything. Let's talk about one of the most uncomfortable topics for new entrepreneurs, and one of the most critical: pricing. Most first-time builders massively underprice themselves. And it backfires, not just financially, but psychologically. Price too low, and people assume low quality. Price with confidence, and they assume it's worth something. Pricing isn't just math. It's psychology. It's positioning. Here are the 4 approaches worth knowing. Cost plus pricing. Calculate your costs, add a margin, set your price. Simple. But it ignores what the market is actually willing to pay. Value-based pricing. Price based on the outcome you create for the customer, not what it costs you. If your product saves someone significant time or money, your price should reflect a share of that value. Customers don't pay for your effort. They pay for their results. Competitive pricing. Price below competitors to win on affordability, above them to signal premium, or at parity and compete on differentiation. Freemium and tiered models. Give a free version to build trust and user base. Charge for advanced features or higher usage. The free tier does your marketing. The paid tier does your revenue. Testing and validation. Assumptions are not facts until proven. Let's be honest about something. Everything you've built so far, all the research, the ICP, the MVP, is still a hypothesis. An intelligent, well-researched hypothesis, but still a hypothesis. Testing and validation turns that hypothesis into confirmed reality, or catches your mistakes before they get expensive. Here's the mindset shift that separates great builders from everyone else. You're not testing your product. You're testing your assumptions. Discovering that an assumption is wrong isn't failure. It's data. It's what makes your product better. Core testing approaches. User testing. Put your product in front of real people who match your ICP. Don't explain anything. Just watch. Where do they get confused? Where do they stop? Every reaction is information. A/B testing. Show 2 versions of something to different user groups, a headline, a price, a design, and measure which wins. Data beats opinion. Always. Beta/soft launch. Release to a small group before the public. Offer early access in exchange for detailed feedback. Build users who feel ownership over your product. Smoke testing. Before building, test whether people will even sign up. If nobody clicks your waitlist ad, that's critical information before you've spent anything building. Validation isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing practice. The market keeps changing. Your understanding should keep deepening. Test relentlessly. Trust the data. Build what's proven. The feedback loop. How good products become great. Here's a secret about products people love. They didn't start out great. They became great. And the engine behind that? The feedback loop. Build, release, collect feedback, analyze, improve, repeat. Faster and smarter each cycle. This isn't optional. It's the core engine of product development. The businesses that build the strongest feedback loops become category leaders. Here's how to build one that actually works. Create channels for feedback. Make it easy. Surveys, comment sections, DMs, community groups. The more accessible, the more you receive. Find the patterns. 1 complaint is noise. 10 complaints about the same thing is signal. Categorize everything. Feature requests, confusion points, friction moments. Prioritize ruthlessly. You can't act on everything. Focus on feedback that reduces friction, increases retention, or directly addresses your core users' biggest pain. Act and communicate. When you make a change based on feedback, tell your users, "We heard you. We fixed this." That single act builds more loyalty than any marketing campaign. Close the loop. Go back to the users who gave the feedback. Ask if it helped. Let them know they mattered. Critics become advocates. The best product teams aren't the most brilliant inventors. They're the most attentive listeners. A product that listens is a product that grows. The launch. It's not a moment. It's a strategy. Here's a myth we need to destroy. The launch is not when your product goes live. The launch is everything you do to make sure people notice when it goes live. Too many builders spend months on the product and zero time on how they'll get it in front of people. What went wrong is they treated the launch as an event, not a campaign. Phase 1 pre-launch. Build a wait list and grow your email list. Share your building journey. Behind-the-scenes content creates emotional investment. Build community around the problem before your solution exists. By launch day, you want a room full of people who've been waiting. Phase 2, launch day, make noise. Release across every channel simultaneously. Mobilize your early supporters. Use early adopter pricing or exclusive bonuses to create urgency that be visible, accessible, and present. Phase 3, post-launch, sustain momentum. Gather data, respond to feedback, fix issues in real time. Convert interested observers into paying customers. The launch doesn't end on day 1. 3 launch truths to live by. Distribution beats quality at launch. A brilliant product nobody hears about loses to an average product with great distribution. Every time. Your network is your first market. Before strangers find you, your community will. Perfect timing doesn't exist. Launch when you're ready to learn, not when you're ready to be perfect. Scaling. Growing without breaking. Your product is live. People are using it. Revenue is coming in. Now comes the real question. How do you scale without things falling apart? Because here's what nobody warns you about. A lot of businesses grow themselves into disaster. More customers than they can handle. Systems that break under pressure. Quality that collapses. The very thing that made people love them, gone. Scaling done right is intentional. Here's how. Systemize before you scale. Document processes. Build workflows. Create systems that deliver the same quality without constant personal oversight. Your goal is a business, not a job. Know your growth engine. Every business has a primary driver. Find yours and master it before spreading thin. Virality. Customers bring customers. Paid acquisition. Advertising brings customers. Content. Organic value attracts customers. Partnerships. Other businesses send customers your way. Build the right team. Scaling alone is nearly impossible. Hire for values first, skills second. Skills can be learned. Culture is much harder to repair. Scaling isn't about moving fast. It's about moving in a direction that compounds. Every system you build is infrastructure for growth that doesn't break. This is where you decide. Let's look at what we covered. From why most products fail, to identifying real problems, defining real customers, doing market research, building an MVP, testing, launching, and scaling. That is the full arc. From idea to execution to growth. Here's what I want to leave you with. Building a product or service is not a talent you either have or you don't. It's a skill, a process, learnable by anyone willing to do the work. Your traditional education likely didn't teach you this, not because it's too advanced, but because the system wasn't designed to produce builders. It was designed to produce employees. Predictable, interchangeable. Here's your one action before you close this video. Write down one problem you genuinely see in the world around you. Something that frustrates you, frustrates people you know, or goes unsolved in a space you understand. Don't think about the solution yet. Just name the problem clearly. That is step 1. You just got what school never gave you. Every single video on this channel is built to this standard. No fluff, no filler, just the real frameworks, the real thinking, the real knowledge that moves you forward. Whether you want to start a business, understand money, or just stop being financially blind in a world that profits off that. If this video gave you even one idea worth keeping, subscribe right now. Not for us, for you. Because the next video continues exactly where this one left off, and you don't want to miss it when it drops. Share this with one person in your circle who's trying to build something or figure out how money and business actually work. One share from you puts this in front of someone who needs it. Comment below. Tell us what problem you wrote down. Your comment might become our next video. Subscribe, share, come back. See you in the next one.